All right, so I wanted to make a quick prediction video for Bitcoin and crypto as well, but specifically Bitcoin. And in my mind, one of two things is almost certainly going to happen. I would give it about a 99% chance that one of these two things happens. The first one being um, Bitcoin goes next halving cycle, it goes into the hundreds of thousands. Next one after that, I think it probably pushes a million. If not, it'll do it the next time, the next one after that. Um, and on top of that, the the mainstream's view of Bitcoin will change from it's so risky you can't buy anything with it. You're so stupid for putting money in. Look how much money you've lost, even though a lot of people haven't lost money. Um, to it's unfair. We need to raise your taxes, right? It's not fair that you bought a Bitcoin in 2022 for $25,000 and now it's worth $1 million, right? It's not fair. We need to tax you on more on that, right? That's what the line of thinking will be. This is what I think it's going to be, right? I'm fairly confident in that. It's just a matter of how long it takes. But the other option of where we end up is we get a CBDC, whether it's a Fed issued CBDC or a Google issued CBDC or something along those lines. In which case, the world just slides more into a tyrannical kind of China way of doing about things or going about things, where we have a heavily centralized, coercive, authoritarian government. Those are the two options, right? Either we get freedom, in which case something like Bitcoin almost certainly will win out, or maybe we at least maintain the levels of freedom we have right now, which is a lot more limited than it should be, but that's besides the point. Um, Again, one of those two things I would bet almost will almost certainly happen, right? The Because eventually we need to go away from the existing financial system. It's just completely unsustainable the way we're going about things now. It will take longer than people think. I mean, you've got a lot of these guys that have been predicting a dollar collapse for over a decade now, and the dollar is stronger than ever, right? So I think it's going to take longer, which honestly, it might even be good news for Bitcoin, to be quite honest, because I think the longer that we continue this fiat Ponzi way of going about things, the better it is for Bitcoin, because um, the best hedge against the system and hedge against inflation combined is Bitcoin. Again, um, gold bugs would argue that it's gold, but again, if gold was the solution to our issues, it would have did it by now, right? I mean, if Bitcoin is around for 1,000 years and there's still people, I mean, gold's been around for a lot longer than that, but I'm just trying to make a point. If Bitcoin's been around for 1,000, even 100, as little as 100, and it hasn't made a significant difference, then yeah, abandon ship by all means. But I would argue that Bitcoin may have already made as much of a difference as gold has, right? And again, not that gold's the worst thing in the world. I'm not necessarily bearish on gold. I'm simply saying Bitcoin is far superior. And if we genuinely want to free ourselves from the coercive way of going about things, Bitcoin is the best option, right? Privacy coins, debatable, but again, if you can't convince the populace or enough people to adopt Bitcoin, you're not going to convince enough people to adopt Monero, for example, right? Like, and this is the one area where I think a lot of the hardcore ANCAPs and libertarians go wrong, and a lot of these guys that still are promoting gold and stuff like that. It's like I say, not that I'm all there when it comes to the philosophy of it, right, and the economics of it, but if we genuinely want to make a difference, it's not going to happen through gold, right? Gold standard, like a lot of people talk about, oh, well, we could solve, inflation and the fiat Ponzi system simply by going back to the gold standard. And it's like, it didn't work the first time around. What makes you think it's going to work the second time around when things are more coercive and tyrannical than ever, right? I mean, if we have a gold standard, we're simply just going to, again, a lot of the gold's going to have to be centralized in one place, and eventually a tyrannical government takes over, and they don't even have to be that tyrannical, just a government that wants to buy votes and they get rid of the gold standard, right? So if we have a stateless society, okay, maybe I can understand that. But the chances of a stateless society is a hell of a lot less, or a lot lower than, Bitcoin going to $1 million, or hell, even $10 million, if for what I can see. Um, and again, people will never vote for sound money. It's just never going to happen, right? So the only way to do it is to free yourself of the existing system as much as you can, right? I'm not saying you put a significant amount of your money in Bitcoin. I'm talking like if 10% of people put 10% of their money their net worth in Bitcoin, I think that would be enough. I think that would be enough. Let alone if it was 20, 30, 40, 50%. Right? So I'm not advocating you put 50% of your net worth or something like that in Bitcoin. I'm not saying I would chastise you for doing it, but it's not what I'm saying. Obviously, you still want to be fairly well diversified. But again, getting back to the main point here, again, one of two things is going to happen. Either Bitcoin continues to massively outperform every other asset, or we get a coercive way, a even more coercive system than we have right now, in which case you probably won't care anyway, because the 99% of the population won't be able to get ahead no matter what you do, right? So, and this is why I'm so bullish on Bitcoin, is that it's the ultimate risk reward. Because if it works out, great, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it means you're probably screwed anyway, right? Like, in my mind, there's not a lot of downside as long as you're not YOLOing too much money into it, right? My position is you simply dollar cost average. You take X amount every month, week, whatever you want to do, and you just say, "Yep, I don't care where the price is at. I'm just gonna buy it, put it in cold storage." Right? That's what my opinion is. Other people will disagree. I think that when you get like a 10 or even 20% dip, it's not a bad idea to maybe add a little bit extra, maybe have a little bit on the sidelines for when that happens. But in my mind, by far the best way of going about things is simply dollar cost averaging. Um, and that the other thing too is that for all the people that say, "Oh, look at how much it's down. You guys have lost so much money." It's like not if you're dollar cost averaging. If you're dollar cost averaging and you've been doing it for, I believe it's 2 years roughly, you're actually still up, right? Even if you started like at the peak, you're still not down that much. You're not even down as much as the stock market is. I don't if you bought at the peak of the S&P, right? So this is the big myth that people say, "Oh, it's so volatile," but it's like it's not nearly as volatile as you think it is if you're dollar cost averaging. And people think of it in this weird way of they're not looking at it over the long run, right? They're not looking at it over years and even a decade, right? The only thing that is a little bit concerning, I think, in the short run is we've never seen, a Bitcoin over a period where the Fed is this hawkish, right? That is something that is legitimately concerning, but they can't be hawkish forever. It's just not possible, right? So it's just a matter of time until they change course, right? And I think the good news is going to be that the next halving cycle is going to be probably midway through the next dovish cycle, right? So I think you're going to get a combination. You very well could get a combination there that again gets Bitcoin up to. I think it's definitely going into the hundreds of thousands, if not 200,000-300,000, right? So anyway, that's just what my opinion is. Like I said, I think that one of those two things is going to happen. So anyway, if you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more.